What's happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spirit, presented to you by NoleGameday.com. We got a lot to talk about this morning. We've got some transfers out of Florida State, including a wide receiver, one that had a lot of promise there, along with a tight end that had a lot of promise as well. Two guys that had a potential to contribute to the Florida State football team in 2026. We're also going to talk about another wide receiver that hasn't entered the transfer portal, but some cryptic things out there could lead to maybe that potentially happening soon. Also, to the main theme of this show today is going to be about transfer quarterbacks, some that have already announced their intentions to enter the portal. We are going to give our thoughts and dive deep into some potential names. It's early, and we're going to have a lot more names to work with as we get closer to the transfer portal, which officially opens on January 2nd, which is about 10 days away. But we have 3 on our list this morning that we want to go ahead and discuss that could be a fit for Florida State. And then we're going to wrap it up with some basketball latest. But with me this morning is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NoleGameday.com, and Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer. Gentlemen, happy Christmas Eve. How we doing?
It's good to be back. Another morning show, and like you said, 2 days before Christmas, but I still think we're going to see some stuff happen here in the next 48 hours. Back-to-back
morning shows. The world is actually ending for Dustin Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, this is not normal.
No, it's not. This is crazy.
You're not wrong.
No. Elu looks like he just woke up about 30, 45 minutes ago. Is that accurate?
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The cold wave has officially hit. I think everybody's getting dinged with everything right now. So we got some OJ. It's really a morning show. I love it. I like doing morning shows. It allows us to come on here and get some stuff out to you guys before we get into the holidays and such. But if you're here with us on YouTube, smack that like button down below. Also, too, if you have any questions, topics you guys would like us to run into, we don't have a whole ton on the docket this morning, so the time to do so is now, because we probably won't see you until later this week. Maybe, who knows, we might get crazy a little bit and have a show later on in the week to talk about Florida State having a general manager. Maybe. That would be crazy.
Christmas Day show.
Heck, yeah. What better to dive deep in here on a front office move for you guys on a Christmas Day episode. But yeah, that's only 10 days away, gentlemen. And I mean, I thought by now, it's Tuesday, December 23rd. It's been well over a month since Florida State put out that statement after the NC State game that they had all these, changes come in and they have a plan in place and such. And you are looking at 10 days away from this portal opening. You're going to get close to a week probably before you officially announce. Who knows? There could be someone working behind the scenes that we don't know of right now, but usually some nuggets are dropped, or you start hearing some things and the sources are sourcing. We haven't heard anything, man. And is that worrisome? Should that worry you as an FSU fan at this moment in time?
I think
it's not shocking. Is it just not shocking?
Well, I don't think it's very shocking.
No, not at all.
I mean, we've seen how the program has operated this season, and it just feels like every decision they're dragging their feet. Announcing a comprehensive assessment coming after that Stanford game at the end of the year, and then before the season's even over, you announce Mike Norvell's back, and they've had time to evaluate and to make these changes, and for it now to be, late December, it says a lot about how Florida State's operating at the moment. But maybe the plan's patience. just be patient. Something will happen.
Well, I mean, we can always look at it this way too. We've talked about Oklahoma being the comparison with them using the same evaluation firm that Florida State's using. They didn't hire Jim Nagy until mid to late February as their general manager. And while it's not the process Florida State needs to be looking at, it is maybe a realistic outlook if Oklahoma did the same thing and they had all the success. Even after, granted, there was still like the spring portal window last year. It's going to be a little bit different this year. But maybe they're looking at that timeline going, hey, we still have some time to figure this out. I'm just more worried that we're getting closer and closer to somehow Mike Norvell also being named GM and head football coach. Like, that's just, you have to be pessimistic with this football team. That's how I feel we're headed.
Is he going to have enough time to look for quarterbacks? He's done such a good job on that front.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, we're expecting where this general manager is going to be someone that's going to be around for a long while and is not going to be impacted by Mike Norvell being let go by the end of whatever the season next year, whenever that might be, whatever that plan is to be, you would be fine with them taking some extra time to make sure they find someone that is exactly what they want, what they need. And so if some extra time is needed, then so be it. I mean, we're trying to give the positives out of it, but it certainly just doesn't look so good on the outside when, you've got, of course, you got Miami going on, rolling in the college football playoffs. They're on to the second part of that. And then you've got Florida who, they moved on from their coach. And then two, they found their general manager, the same exact day as well. But you still put out a statement that you had a plan in place, and that was over a month ago. That was literally over a month ago. I think that was on December 21st or the 22nd.
November.
Of November, my bad. Yeah, of November. So, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. And these are really important times of retention, and not saying that, some of these guys, which we're about to talk about here, you can't bring back. You most certainly can, but I think you put yourself into a tougher position for sure. And just from the fan base, it just feels like, the program doesn't, care too much about, the football team going into 2026, which is obviously very irritating after the last two seasons that they've had.
I don't know about that. They don't care. I just think that they're really struggling to get this thing right. And maybe a little bit in over their heads at the moment. And maybe that's why they brought in the firm to evaluate things, offer suggestions for Florida State. But they need to get this done sooner than later. I mean, like we've been saying, like it's looking more and more like this general manager isn't going to have much influence on constructing this 2026 roster. Obviously, no input in the high school JUCO hall during the early signing period. We're getting really close to the transfer portal window officially opening. And like BZ said, I mean, if Florida State was to follow in the footsteps of Oklahoma and say not name a general manager until late January or February, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're going to name one sooner rather than that. Then even still, you miss out because there's no longer the spring transfer portal window. I mean, you've got these 15 days from January 2nd through the 16th with guys hitting the portal to that's going to be the major construction period for your roster. So, I mean, this guy needs to be in place.
Only thing I'll clarify is you said they're over their heads at the moment. They've been over their heads for a few years now. Like they're
a long moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it could even go into the 2024 season. I mean, that off season of what you did in the transfer portal, they thought that they're at a higher caliber and thought, with DJU coming in, that would be, just fine with the veteran quarterback coming in that absolutely did not fit your offensive system whatsoever. He didn't. And then that's where it all began. And then you go look at it's irritating too. You see Malik Benson just firing off and leading Oregon and receiving right now, making big plays for them in the college football playoff. You're like, what is going on, man? Come on.
Yeah, but like you got Deuce, who was amazing, and they weren't going to keep both.
Yeah, I'm just more talking about the 2024 season. That has obviously just completely toppled this team and program at the moment that has put you into this place. But the thing is, the plan in place to fix the front office, they're putting the blame on where the coaching staff or Mike, whoever, they can't find the talent. They've not done a good enough job there to manage the roster and such. And when you say it's only 10 days away, you're hoping that, you have someone in there to be able to fix that because the staff has not been able to do so. So you're putting it on the front of it, but you're not going to have enough time to do so on that front. And there is a question here from Jim on YouTube, asking about, players, they can't enter the portal. They can, of course, come back. And that for sure can be the case. And we'll probably talk about a few right now. I say we go ahead and get started with Landon Thomas, a tight end that was one of their prize recruits coming in to, the
24
class. And a guy that, D'Lo, you saw him early on and some of the competitions that he was in, and just really good pass catcher. And then you also saw some flashes from him in his freshman season. And then we jump into 2025, and then you don't see a whole ton of them. You also brought in Randy Pittman and Marqueston Douglas. So that certainly made a major impact into him this last year. But you did see a lot of upside, and you were hoping, definitely once Randy Pittman entered the transfer portal earlier this month, you're like, okay, well, the future is Landon Thomas. That next step is going to be taken with him. And this one's definitely a shocker, I'd say, because this certainly does thin out your tight end room, at least with some experience moving forward.
A little surprising. Like you said, there were some promising flashes throughout that 2024 season where he was able to enter the starting lineup, and you were seeing Landon Thomas and Amari Williams both getting snaps over Kyle Morlock as the season progressed. But it's just like injuries have really hurt him in these first 2 years. Had a collarbone injury ahead of that true freshman season that really limited him throughout the summer and into the preseason. And then same thing this time around. I mean, he had another injury that kind of wiped out a lot of that summertime and then part of fall camp, and just seemed like he was never able to get back into a rhythm. And also he didn't take that step, like we were talking about over the offseason. He needed to become a much better blocker than he was as a true freshman. And I don't think that happened. I think he was still a net negative in that department, especially with what you saw from Randy Pittman Jr. and Marquise and Douglas and what they were able to provide in that aspect of the game. Just 3 catches during this 2025 season for Landon Thomas. So, it's disappointing at the end of the day because this guy was a former 5-star recruit at one point, committed to Florida State, backed off that commitment, committed to Georgia, and then flipped back to Florida State during that leading up to his senior season. Dropped a little bit in the rankings, still finished as one of the best tight ends in his class and a 4-star prospect, and just was never able to achieve that ceiling here at Florida State these past 2 years.
Now, you did bring in 2 guys that could block those, so you were hoping Landon Thomas could be a pass catching threat for you, but Gus Malzahn never gave him the opportunity. Whenever Landon Thomas, he was at the H-back position. That's a situation right there. And I'm sure Landon's like, well, Gus Malzahn's coming back. He's going to put me back at H-back. I'm going to be blocking the whole time. I never had an opportunity to catch the ball.
Yeah, so you got to do both.
I never did.
I was just got to do both. He only played 114 snaps this year, and only 28 of them were passing sets. He just wasn't out there for passing plays
I think
at
he was
all.
healthy and fine, just never got the opportunity. That was Gus. That's on
I
Gus.
believe he only played 10 or more snaps in 3 games on offense, if that's correct. Yeah. So, I mean, just never was able to achieve a big role on this football team in year 2.
How much does that go into Gus, though? Like, he's going to stick with his guy that he brought in from UCF.
Yeah, but Biscuit also played a lot, too.
Did he catch more than Landon Thomas this year?
I don't know that he caught. Well,
I know he had at least 2. And Landon had 3. So
I'll find out real quick. Hold on.
I think that goes ahead and tells you right there.
Yeah, Biscuit had 2. Landon Thomas had 3. But 2 of Landon Thomas's 3 catches were touchdowns. So
yeah. And I mean, one of them was that wild play against Pittsburgh where Tommy Castellanos just throws it up towards the end zone and Landon Thomas somehow comes down with it right there late in the second quarter. But I do think one thing that hurt Landon Thomas is I just didn't feel a consistent amount of intensity when he was on the field. Like sometimes it felt like he was out there just playing the game, playing football, not with a lot of intent. And then there were other plays where you did see a lot of passion, and that's where he was showing his most of his flashes and his promise. But there were too far and too few in between, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I just didn't feel that intensity from him, if that makes sense. I don't want to call it lackadaisical, but
yeah, it's a big switch from that to Randy Pittman and like the style that he plays with.
Right.
That's probably what you're sensing out there, because Randy Pittman, a lot of physicality. We understand the drops. We understand the issue there. And that Clemson game, we get that. We understand that. But one thing that Randy Pittman played with was with a lot of force and want to go get after that ass. That kind of mentality. That's something that I think you're kind of leaning to, where that was lacking maybe for Landon. But this situation now, you would think, well, what does a tight end room now look up to? Because you just put Chase Lofton, who had a season-ending injury. He played wide receiver this last year because you had a lot of tight ends playing that same position. But now you're looking at, who?
Portal. I mean, that's what
sucks. Yeah, I know. And that sucks because you're having to put now new resources into that, where you would have hoped, and you would have hopefully have gotten a discount with Landon Thomas retaining him for next year, where you don't have to go out and find those resources. And I understand you probably can maybe upgrade in the tight end room department, but you also could have just kept these two with Randy and Landon Thomas going into 2026. I don't know.
I don't think that they can upgrade.
Yeah.
I think it'll be
Well,
really
probably
tough.
not.
I think it'll be tough for them to upgrade that room just because Randy Pittman was a perfect fit for this Florida State offense.
Mhm.
And now, the guys returning, just not really a ton of experience there. Chase Lofton, Tayshawn Gelsey is a bigger wide receiver, so we'll see if they decide to move him over to tight end. You've got your two guys coming in this Tribe 26 class, Xavier Tiller and Corbin Fordham. But, I mean, you're going to need at least one. I mean, probably two guys in the transfer portal. It sounds like Amari Williams, his future is going to be at defensive end. Florida State's not planning to bring him back on the offensive side of the football and continuing that experiment like we saw throughout 2024 and 2025. He's going to mainly be on defense. That was something Mike Norvell said in a recent interview. So they definitely need some guys there in that tight end room. And, like one of the comments we brought up earlier in the show, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida State tries and goes back to get Randy Pittman Jr. to return to Tallahassee.
That's exactly where I was going. I think they're going to do their best to at least try and bring Randy back, just because he has a familiarity with Gus. When he was healthy, he was really good for Florida State this year, but just wasn't always healthy. You would hope that with an offseason to get right, he could bounce back and be a really productive tight end next year. But he may look and go somewhere and say, hey, I don't want to be run blocking for 60% of the time. I don't want to be throwing touchdowns. I'm a tight end. Like, give me the ball 60 times a year so I can get 600-700 yards. And, I wouldn't blame him for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He did have 100% completion percentage, though. So,
congrats.
Hey, put him at quarterback, put him at QB. Accuracy is key right there. Yeah, I mean, could be a money play here. I see in the comments, everybody. I mean, at this moment, I think we will. Could be. I think
most people are going out to try and get more money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I think for FSU's sake, though, I think you're going to see quite a bit of this where you're going to see some teasing, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute, or some guys that have announced their intentions in the transfer portal end up being retained by Florida State. A lot more of that than we've seen in the last couple of years. If not, I think that says quite a bit about, some players and, playing for Mike Norvell. I think that kind of sends a message there to you if you're not able to retain them, which you can't blame them at all right now. But NIL does give you a play in keeping some of these guys that were productive for you or were going to play a good heavy amount for you in the next upcoming season. But yeah, Landon Thomas expected to enter the transfer portal there. We'll monitor that. And then another offensive player, another young guy here, and this is Elijah Moore, someone that Florida State brought in, 6'4", 206 pounds, just awesome frame of a wide receiver in that 2024 class, 4-star recruit, one of FSU's top offensive signees that year, and saw a little bit of some flashes his freshman year and then didn't get to see a whole ton of him in 2025 because you did see some growth from some other younger guys. We're talking Lawayne McCoy. We're talking about Javon Boggs, who came in as a true freshman, ended up starting the season. Then you also had Mekhi Danzy as well. But here we go with Elijah Moore entering the transfer portal. Y'all's thoughts on this one?
I don't think that this one is much of a surprise to me. We saw Florida State try and put him into the lineup a little bit whenever Deuce got injured against Pittsburgh, and then there was a miscommunication on a route with Tommy where Elijah went one way, the ball went the other, and then after that, I feel like we didn't really see him much at all for the rest of the 2025 season. So it seemed like maybe he just struggled to get the playbook down a little bit. I mean, like you said, Logan, really good frame, tremendous athlete, someone that's able to go and make those contested catches in practice. I mean, this is a guy who normally, whenever Florida State would do the one-on-one portion of practice where you've got the wide receivers matched up against a DB, this is a guy who could normally go and shine in those scenarios. And another one who I think there's still a high ceiling, a lot of potential for him to reach if he can get there. I mean, you got to remember, Florida State landed this kid over Ohio State, and we all know how the Buckeyes have produced wide receivers over the last couple of years. I mean, that's a wide receiver factory over there. So if they're heavily involved in a recruitment, then that's a team that you want to be competing against for a recruit. And in this sense, Florida State was able to win out in that recruitment. It's just, Elijah Moore wasn't able to develop, wasn't able to get on the field these past 2 years. And like you kind of mentioned, Logan, some younger players passed him up in the lineup, and now he'll hit the portal, 3 years of eligibility remaining, and wouldn't be surprising if he goes and produces somewhere else.
Yeah, similar theme to a lot of younger players where they're just not developing under Mike Norvell. But as we talked about last episode, there's a lot of receivers coming in this freshman class, and you're already talking about retaining at the very least, Mekhi Danzy and hopefully Logan McCoy, and hopefully you can get Deuce Robinson back as well, and some of the other guys that you brought in last year. It's a very deep, maybe just in terms of body wise, with how many receivers you have in that room, and this just isn't a passing offense. You don't need 12 wide receivers, so I can understand him looking for greener pastures.
Yeah, there's also been, a good amount of changes since he signed with Florida State. Obviously, the wide receivers coach that he joined the program with is no longer here in Tallahassee. Same thing. There's been a switch but there's been a change at offensive coordinators. Some of that staff that recruited him to Tallahassee, the system's changed a little bit, and it seemed like, he just needed a fresh start at this point. But it continues the decimation of that 2024 recruiting class for Florida State, which brought in 23 high school prospects, was ranked number 12 in the country, the best prep class that Mike Norvell has signed in Tallahassee. And now 2 years later, only 10 of those 23 players are still with the program.
So you're saying there's a developmental issue, you're saying? Is that what you're pointing to?
There's been a developmental issue.
Yeah. Well, too, like you were going back to the mistake that he made on the field, like Tim Harris Jr. You saw the growth from some of these younger guys. And I think if you had a passing quarterback, guy that was more accurate and continued to grow with Tommy, if you would have seen that, then you would have seen more of Logan McCoy making strides for you as well with his hands. And then, Mekhi Danzy came out of nowhere and ended up being the starter for you in the wide receiver room. And you already knew what you had with Deuce Robinson, but like you guys have mentioned, it's very limited. This is not going to be a wide receiver haven type of offense in Tallahassee if Gus Malzahn's your offensive coordinator. Just not going to be it. And, I don't think it's too much of a shock to see Elijah Moore go. And you know what? He'll probably find his strides elsewhere. Look for down here in Tampa with Brian Hartline. He's going to be looking for some studs at wide receiver, and that could be a spot for him to go leaving from Ohio State down here to USF. And they just came off of a big season there, although they're big-time quarterback. Their guy for them that led them to some success this year is expected into the transfer portal. But still, nonetheless, though, Brian Hartline has done some magic with some of these wide receivers, and who knows, Elijah Moore might be the next one down here in Tampa for him. But yeah, there was a lot to like and such. But I do think there was a mixture of, like you said, Dustin, some things of maybe getting the playbook down and some mistakes being made there. And then Gus Malzahn's offense and just some other guys stepping up and passing them like Boggs, Danzy, and McCoy. Now, what's funny is, I'll bring this up here, on the announcement from Elijah Moore on his Instagram, Logan McCoy in here actually commented on the post and said, "Twin brother, meet me there." Sad face emoji, fingers crossed emoji. Well, you laughing at the way I said brother?
Yeah.
I knew that'd get you. I thought I did pretty good there. Yeah. Interesting, huh? Interesting. Cryptic.
Nah,
Cryptic.
You're just stirring the pot.
This is nothing.
I'm stirring it, baby. I'm stirring. Dustin, get the article ready. FSU football standout wide receiver from the last couple of games.
It's a long title.
You got it. That is a long title. Too many characters. But, like we had mentioned earlier, a lot of guys trying to raise that price. And
I don't think that means anything.
It
means meet me in the league. It's a pretty common phrase.
Meet me there. What? Did Elijah Moore announce that he's going to the NFL draft?
No, but he's saying meet me there.
He's entering the transfer portal.
Let's he's entering the portal, but he's saying let's meet in the league later on.
Don't do this.
Did he write that? I didn't read the announcement, the whole announcement thing. I didn't read the whole announcement thing. I didn't know.
What are we talking about?
This is absolutely not. This is peak off-season content. This is
right.
What this is.
Exactly.
Where Logan's trying to do something that is absolutely just not there.
Cryptic season.
He's
Season.
not.
Got to keep an eye on the comments. All right, let's jump over to some transfer quarterbacks. Some that we are maybe maybe could be some FSU guys. We'll see. Definitely once that portal officially opens and the Seminoles are able to obtain some visits. But put a list together, and there's 3 names on here that we feel like Florida State should be interested in. Where do we want to start off with? Do you want to go with the Old Dominion quarterback with Coulson Joseph, gentlemen?
I'd say yeah,
good?
because that sounds like one that Florida State is showing some legitimate interest in.
Okay. Yeah, let's start off with him. Entering the transfer portal from Old Dominion. He's a sophomore quarterback with 2 years of eligibility remaining. A lot of, Power 4 conference teams are going to be interested in this guy. He passed for 2,624 yards, 21 passing touchdowns, and also added on 1,007 rushing yards with 13 rushing touchdowns with a total of 34 on the season. He's a dual threat quarterback. This mixes in well with Gus Malzahn's offense. He helped lead Old Dominion to a 9-3 season. And definitely, like I said, there's going to be some teams interested in him. Florida State likely in the mix there as well. Y'all's thoughts on Coulson Joseph?
I think this one would be a good fit for Florida State. Obviously, more of a dual threat quarterback, and that seems to be the type of signal caller that Gus Malzahn likes in his offense. You kind of mentioned it, Logan, over 1,000 yards this year. Did have the 10 interceptions. I mean, he's going to have to trim that down some, but I mean, showed a lot of promise and really his first full season as a starter at the FBS level. I was pulling up some of his stats, but helped lead Old Dominion to a victory at Virginia Tech. Obviously, they were struggling at the time, but
that doesn't mean anything.
16 out of 22, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game, scored once on the ground as well. So, I mean, he's had success against FBS opponents, and this is going to be one of those transfer portal recruitments where they're going to have to pony up some serious cash to land this guy. I think the same can be said at least about one of the other quarterbacks that we're going to talk about in this segment. But if Florida State wants a top quarterback, they're going to have to go out there and pay up. And I think Coulson Joseph definitely going to be an option to monitor for the Seminoles.
I think he's a fit just because I think he'd be a very average quarterback. Like to me, he's not moving the needle. In his last 3 games of the season, he didn't crack 150 passing yards. Like that's just not what Florida State needs at quarterback. Yeah, he had some big performances here and there. Especially at the beginning of the season, like 276 against Virginia Tech. While it is Virginia Tech, it's not nothing. Like 276 is nice, but when you're not cracking 150 against Georgia State, Georgia Southern, and Troy, I don't know what that really does as far as the passing. Now, yes, he's absolutely a dual threat quarterback. I'm not saying he's not, and that's what Florida State needs and wants in their system, but I also need someone that can actually throw the football.
Yeah, I guess 9 out of 22, 106 yards and a pick against Georgia State.
Not redeeming.
It's not the greatest stat line.
Did they have any injuries at the offensive line or wide receiver position? Maybe it was limited, Come on. Got to dig a little bit deeper in there. Maybe there could be some situations, What a completion percentage of 90. God dang.
90.
You'd have to put 10 mil on this guy. 59.7%, 173 of 290 passes there for Old Dominion. So yeah, you're kind of still in that same space of what was Tommy this last season?
I think Tommy might have been a little bit higher than that. He did regress at the end though.
Yeah, he did. I'm looking now to see how that compares.
Tommy 58.3. So yeah, he fell down.
Hey, upgrade.
Can we count stats at Old Dominion as an upgrade? No.
Well, we're having to do it now, sadly. Easy. It's 2025. We sadly are having to do that at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, VZ. You got to have a guy that can be a little bit more accurate with the ball. That's one thing that was going to have to happen anyways. It's just that, one thing that you saw from DJU, and then you saw it, of course, with Tommy last year, is someone that didn't develop or see an increase in better play. He didn't improve. Like, that's the thing. Like, you would be fine probably taking someone like this that, okay, you've got a surefire, really good quarterbacks coach, someone that can develop or someone that can, take them to the next step, and you see an increase in better play. You're like, okay, I feel a little bit more confident on that, but I don't think you get that. It's almost like a quarterback comes in and they kind of stay that way or things regress. And that's not what you want to see whatsoever. And you also don't know if a quarterback will want to come to Florida State because of that, the last 10 years of quarterbacks there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. They've struggled to put DJ and then Tommy in the right situations. It felt like throughout their tenures, and even
Did
with
they fail to put them in the right situations, or are they just bad?
Well, I mean,
it's a mix of both.
You've got to understand that Tommy's not a guy who you're going to throw the ball 30 plus times with in a game, and Florida State did that multiple times, especially on the road.
Yeah, it's definitely a mix of both. Certainly both sides do not help one another. So at the end of the day, though, that's the theme of the quarterback situation for Florida State. But yeah, I mean, it's a dual threat. I mean, that's where, Gus Malzahn, that's where he's going to live and die, is sticking with those quarterbacks. And right now, Colton Joseph is one of those. Now going over to another one, gentlemen, we've got North Texas quarterback transfer Drew Mestemaker. He is expected to enter the portal, a redshirt sophomore with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Could be a potential long-term guy for a program like Florida State. He led all FBS in passing yards, 4,129, completing around 70% of his passes, 31 touchdowns on 7 interceptions. He's 6'4", 211 pounds, dual threat guy, and got a lot of accolades this last season. And then he began his college career as a walk-on, which is really intriguing as well. Really cool there. But American Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year and Bullsworth Trophy winner, who goes to the best player who began their career as a walk-on. Y'all's thoughts here on the North Texas quarterback transfer?
Yeah, I mean, you just read off his stats, and he's able to do all of this in just his second year at the FBS level after walking on as an unranked recruit. So, I mean, it's been pretty impressive to see his rise. Obviously, that's an underdog story that I think most college football fans are familiar with and following at this point, leading the FBS in passing yards. He had, I want to say, 5 games over 300 passing yards this season. He had 608 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception against Charlotte back on October 24th, which 608 passing yards.
Charlotte's dog.
608 passing yards.
Charlotte is very bad. Logan, you're muted.
Hey, I know I am muted. I was just about to tell VZ. That's still impressive, though.
No, I'm not saying it's not.
With the talent that you're working with, I mean, you got to remember, like, it's North Texas talent.
But North Texas has been pretty good the last few years, and that's something to watch for, because their coach is at Oklahoma State, and it's probably going to be. I don't want to say likely, but with that coach going to Oklahoma State, you have to imagine they're going to be the favorite in this recruitment from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
probably be some interest there for sure. And Mestemaker, he's not really a dual threat quarterback per se. I mean, he can do some things with his legs, but I wouldn't exactly call him dynamic. This is definitely a guy who gets it done with his arm, but brings good size to the table. I think this is someone you can build a program around. I mean, you got to think a walk-on who is able to make this rise at the FBS level. It's pretty impressive in this current age of college football. And I mean, goes to show a lot about his mentality, and then also the coaching staff that developed him over there at North Texas. But someone, I think he's going to be a pretty coveted option in the portal. I would imagine that Colton Joseph and Drew Mestemaker are both going to be top 10 quarterbacks in this portal class. And, it's not as good of a portal class as last year, but teams are still going to be spending a lot of money. And it sounds like more money than a year ago.
I think it's pretty likely that this is the best quarterback in the portal this year. Just
right now. Yeah.
No, just by the time it's all said and done, I think he's going to be probably the best one. Here are the quarterbacks who finished above him on PFF's passing grades: Julian Sayin at Ohio State, Dante Moore at Oregon, Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt, Joey Aguilar at Tennessee, Darian Mensah at Duke, and then Tucker Gleason at Toledo. That's probably the only other one you can maybe keep an eye on. But Mestemaker finished ahead of Mendoza, who won the Heisman. Now, granted, it's PFF. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but this guy was as productive as it gets. I think Dustin may have oversold his legs a little bit. He averaged a whopping 1.5 yards per carry last year for 71 yards.
I bet he's not dynamic.
Hey, there you go.
He scored 5 touchdowns, though.
Yeah, sure.
You'll take it.
But this is a guy that wins with his arm, which is what Florida State fans want. I I don't think it's what Florida State coaches will necessarily search for, which is part of the frustration with his coaching staff. But very talented player who had a really, really productive season. Have to think that Oklahoma State will at least be, if not the favorite, one of the favorites. And then we'll see what other big schools come calling, because there will be some school that pays him a insane amount of money.
Y'all are too funny this morning.
Yeah.
Grant saying, yeah, he's too good. Staff won't like him. That might be the case. Now, I think out of this list that we're talking about here, I feel like that's the one that might be a little bit more intriguing and maybe give you more of a higher upside. And he's a guy that plays with some confidence as well and gives you some potential on air with his arm, which I would wish that Florida State would lean a little bit more of. And I understand that's just not really what Gus Malzahn likes to do. He'd rather lean more with the legs on things. That's just how that offense works. But in order to keep guys like a Deuce Robinson on your team next year and Wayne McCoy, Mekhi Danzy, it just helps you on that front with retention of keeping some of that talent. And even when we're talking about Randy Pittman and Landon Thomas, like those kind of things can do some. And even offensive line, which Florida State's going to have to completely rehaul as well. Like a quarterback completely changes the game for you offensively and how you want to shape things around. And sometimes you can get some guys on a cheaper rate than anything. I mean, you go back to the days of Jameis Winston and coming through with that recruitment. Guys wanted to come play for him. And they also knew that they were going to get the ball. And they were also going to have a successful offense and put up some points, which leads you to hopefully, reaching conference championship and yada, 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 making the college football playoff. But that's a whole nother conversation. But Florida State, these are just three quarterbacks, though. There's going to be more, though, that open up as we get closer to the transfer portal and certainly on January 2nd. But this guy has it, man. He has it, but we'll see if it leans towards Oklahoma State before anything else. And then let's go off here. Let's finish off with EJ Coulson. D-Lou, tell me about EJ Coulson. He's a guy here that I feel like, when we first put out the post of maybe someone that Florida State could be intrigued on, I think the school that he plays for didn't really excite much of anybody, and that's understandable. He's coming from a incarnate word.
Incarnate word.
See, that's the issue.
This is the third episode in a row we cannot get incarnate. Like, come on, guys, get together.
Yeah, guys, Dustin, get it together.
I also love tripping up on the word. Like, it's
word. Yeah. Well, I looked on ChatGPT. It says word. It's not ward.
It's ward. Yeah, or word.
Yeah, it's word. Oh,
you said ward,
Dustin. I officially got into Dustin's brain.
Y'all are ridiculous.
I just completely got
y'all
into Dustin's
are the worst.
brain. I got him.
Messing me up.
I got him. But here's what he did in 2025, D-Lou. He started in 8 games, completing 210 passes, 296 for 2,142 yards, 16 passing touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. His efficiency was at 71%. Also has a rushing threat on him a little bit, 287 yards on the ground, 3 rushing touchdowns on 108 carries. Thoughts on this young man right here?
This might be the guy.
All three of you might be the guy. Hey.
Well, EJ Coulson might be the guy. I mean, he's got your Gus Malzahn fit, signed and played under him at UCF in 2024. And that same season, you had Brendan Bogner, who is now Florida State's assistant quarterbacks coach, was an analyst for the 2024 season. He was an analyst for the 2025 season. He was an analyst at UCF in 2024 when Coulson was on the roster. So Malzahn and Bogner have worked with him. Didn't play a lot for UCF in his redshirt season, and then transferred to the FCS level for 2025. Showed some promise this season, and I mean, still has 3 seasons of eligibility remaining. And the thing about this guy is he's still pretty young. I mean, he's a guy like Amari Williams who reclassified up a class. So, only played through his junior season at the high school level, then went ahead, moved up, signed with UCF, had a pretty prolific prep career there in the state of Georgia. 3-year starter at Cedar Grove High School, nearly 6,000 career passing yards, 68 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. and added over 1,300 yards on the ground, 16 more scores. So, I think considering the previous relationship between the two parties, this is definitely a guy that Florida State is going to be in contact with. We'll see if maybe a better option emerges, but Coulson definitely someone I could see making his way to Tallahassee.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how real of a runner he is. Of his 287 rushing yards, 103 of them came in one game against Abilene Christian on 19 carries. Outside of that, he didn't really do a ton on the ground, and they only played one FBS team this year, which is UT San Antonio. He was 17 to 24 for 213 yards passing with 3 touchdowns, only 8 rushing yards. So I think he wants to be more of a passer. I just I don't know if this is the guy you're going into next season with as your starter, going from Incarnate Word to Florida State. My hopes are low, and they're already low. So I don't want to say I think they can do better, because in my mind I know they can't, just because no one wants to play for the staff seemingly. But
jeez, what the heck?
What you want me to be real? This team's gonna stink. Like, it's just not gonna be good.
Here we go. It's always near the end of the episode where it starts getting real with it.
But Coulson, he is coming from the program that helped produce the most recent #1 overall NFL draft pick.
Ooh, so you're saying there's a chance it could be the next Cam Ward for Florida State? They couldn't
The
get Cam Ward.
The difference
Cam Ward
is
2 years ago.
Cam Ward started at Incarnate Word. He didn't start at a Power 4 program and then went down to Incarnate Word.
That's correct, but I think the EJ Coulson was pretty much forced to make that move after Gus went to FSU.
He could have followed.
Could have. But maybe it was better for him to go out and find a starting job for a year.
There's no way his best option, like if he's a good quarterback, is to go, yeah, I was at UCF last year. My best option is to go to the FCS level and play at Incarnate Word. Like, that just doesn't compute.
Yeah. True freshman, not a lot of tape, oversaturated quarterback market. And I mean, maybe he just wanted to go somewhere where he was guaranteed to be a starter, to actually get some playing time in for a year, boost his stock back up, and then now make the move back to the FBS level. But, remains to be seen if Florida State is interested here, but the previous ties at least make it alluring for the Seminoles, I would say.
Out of these three, which one gives you the highest upside in 2026? If it was to be right now, and this is the only three that you had, who would you lean on to give you success?
Mestamaker.
Yeah, but it's also like he just doesn't fit what Florida State wants to do. All three of us will sit here and agree he is by far the best quarterback. And then there's Florida State's coaching staff going, he can't really run, so I don't know if we want him. So
yeah, can't use his legs as much, so scratch it. He's off the list. Well, that's what irritates you a little bit. I mean, that's what you get with keeping Gus Malzahn going into next year. But I mean, what else were you going to be able to do anyways? I mean, Florida State moves on from their offensive coordinator after just a year. I mean, there was thoughts of Gus saying that, hey, I'm either going to retire, or, there was some chatter of him going off and, going to another school or getting a head coaching job elsewhere. There was some talk about that, but, and you still got Kevin Sperry on hand with you, and you're hoping that you can see development there made from him. And, you can't take much of what we saw in the 2025 season and say, hey, this guy's ready to roll. Let's get him out there. So you are expected to bring in a transfer quarterback, but you're hoping that you are hopefully third time's a charm, literally.
Yeah, but it's like, I know a lot of people want Sperry. Like, our comments are flooded with it right now. Florida State has a lot of pressure to win this year. Kevin Sperry's not doing that. He's just not. Like, we can all be romanticizing a 3-star quarterback coming in as a redshirt freshman and leading this team to 9 or 10 wins next year. It's just not happening. It's just so unrealistic for that to happen. They have to get someone that is proven that can lead an offense. And I'm not saying that some of these options that we're talking about are, but they've at least played quarterback at the college level for more than how many passing snaps Sperry had this year? 9,
17.
10. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Like, not a big enough sample size to go, yes, that's our quarterback for next year. For 2027, sure, let him develop for another year. But next year, super, super unlikely.
Mm-hmm. You know what's like irritating too is, Gus Malzahn, if you so badly want a running quarterback, why are you having Tommy Castellanos throw for 30 plus times in games? What? It's where things get very confusing, in my opinion. Also, too, does Florida State have its running backs coach yet? Do we need to get concerned? It's been in the back of my mind for, a couple weeks now, I can say.
It's not official.
So
But going on
Blue
2
Adams,
weeks, yeah.
Yeah, Blue Adams, the reports come out that he is going to be Florida State's new cornerbacks coach. And I think the next day or 48 hours after, or whatever it is, he gets announced officially from Florida State itself. But Cam Martin was well reported way before Blue Adams, and still nothing official on the running backs coach there. What's going on? What are we doing?
I don't know. It's dragging out, like you said. Whenever the Blue Adams stuff surfaced, and it got officially announced pretty soon after that, leads to thinking there's some type of holdup.
What do you think, VZ's happening there in the front office? Well, I guess there's no one there.
I said there is no front office. Nothing's happening. Lights are on. No one's home.
Yeah. Bring Cam Martin home to Gus Malzahn. I don't know what's going on there. Just something I was thinking of a little bit.
Did Auburn hire a running backs coach yet?
I think they did, didn't they? I think Auburn. I think they did get their running backs coach. Didn't they?
I think that was on the table.
Larry Porter, hired by Golish.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So that's off the table. So Auburn's on it. So who is it?
UF got their running backs coach, so they're not going to poach in and swoop someone else from FSU.
No. So who is it? We might need to do some digging today on who is causing this holdup here from Cam Martin not coming to Tallahassee. If that being official yet.
It's putting together a record offer to retain.
Yeah, Tulsa retention, baby. They know how to do it. They got a general manager.
I don't know, but it is strange that it's been about 2 weeks since the reports and everything broke and nothing official yet. And also still waiting on Florida State. I put in a request to figure out the assistant coaching salaries for the two new assistant coaches that Florida State hired. So we'll see if that comes in soon, along with that Cam Martin official announcement.
Yeah, I'm sure with holidays and such, not a lot of people and faculty on hand, so that slows the roll on those kind of things. But
they did it for Blue Adams. So
they did what?
They did it for Blue Adams, real quick.
They gave you the contract?
No, the official announcement.
I was about to say, though, they can still make the announcement. They should be making the announcement, but getting some contract details from them on wherever you have to get those from might take a little bit of extra time during this time of year. But you could still certainly make the announcement of Cam Martin coming. And I think that's a solid hire for Florida State. And I think it's a direction that they should go. I mean, you look over at what RJ Harvey's doing for the Denver Broncos, man. I mean, he's crushing it for Sean Payton and them. And he's had a phenomenal rookie season. And he was one during the combine that, just really impressed me. He was one that you go back to UCF tape, just all around good player for you. And I think they're going to try to lean on that with Usman Kroma, maybe throw in some sprinkling of Samuel Singleton, but that's the route it should go instead of being a revolving door between 5 to 6 players on almost a weekly basis. But yeah, still looking for a running backs coach, but got John Papuchis likely coming back next year for you, linebackers coach. Everything's good in the hood. Everything's good in the hood. All right, gentlemen, it's time to make some picks real quick on Sleeper before we get the latest on basketball, VZ, which, hey, was that 2 in a row?
2 in a row, baby.
Woo, baby. The Noles 2 in a row. Let's jump into a shout out to Sleeper and them for sponsoring with us this season. Let's go and make some picks, guys. So we've got a lot of games. These are some big games here to end off the season in the NFL. Some of them have already clinched their playoff spots, but still some big ones. And we've got a 12% boost that we get to use as well. So, man, we almost did well last week. We had a decent ride until Jalen Hurts couldn't throw for, he threw 209. What is that? Yeah, he couldn't throw for 220 yards. And then Josh Jacobs couldn't run for 50 yards because he got injured in the game. So that kind of hurt us there. But we were coming off of a 2-win streak there. But who do we want to lean to first? Oh, speak of the devil, there's RJ Harvey. What is him in rushing? 51.5. Kansas City's banged up, man.
Mm-hmm. Do
they even want to play anymore? It's like that thing's over. What are we feeling? Is VZ with us?
I just
Justin Jefferson here.
No, I'm kidding. I would not put any money on the Vikings because JJ McCarthy hurt his hand on Sunday. I have no idea if he's going to play on Thursday. And our backup's Max Brosmer, who was horrific against Seattle about a month ago. So
why don't we less him then? You want to less him? There's just no way he scores, right? At Detroit.
Sure. Honestly, putting less is a win-win for me. If he doesn't get it, hey, it helps our sleeper. If he gets it, cool. I'm a Vikings fan. Awesome. I get a Justin Jefferson touchdown, which I haven't seen in like 2 months.
There we go. It's definitely probably going to happen now that we're putting
now
he's bet on him. He's going to go off. It might be a 2-touchdown day for you. Who's in passing here? Let's see if there's any steals on the passing department. If anybody in the chat has any picks too, please help us out here. Please help us.
Darnold's only at 225. Hello.
That's not bad against Carolina too. Carolina is not great. Not great. Even though the Bucks still couldn't get it done against them. Not pretty. I mean, we could even go to 200.
I don't know. We don't need to.
Oh, you want to go straight 225.5?
225 feels good.
All right. I'm about it. 98% of the people are on that. Remember, we do have a 12% boost too, so don't have to get too crazy here. Where are some steals at? Where's a steal? Not going on Baker. Way too inconsistent right now. Just so sad with having all their wide receivers back. I love going to the rushing yards. I mean, we were just talking about RJ Harvey, though. Tony Pollard. Amarion Hampton. Where's Harvey at?
51.5.
Kansas City. They got to bounce back. They need to get this is on Thursday night. They're going to want to keep it simple and run the ball, right? Why not just put them at 40 plus? I mean, 40. Come on.
Is he the starter?
Yeah, because J.K. Dobbins got hurt.
Okay, then yeah, if he's starting, then yeah, I'd roll with it.
All right. Let's do 40 then. That's 3. Can we put down that? Golly, so many boosts. Shout out to Sleeper, man. The GOAT. All right, let's put an 8 bomb on it. We really just don't need Justin Jefferson to score, though. So, VZ, make sure that happens. We're going to put $8 on it right there. You guys, if you're on YouTube right now, go down to the YouTube description. You can use our code Noles, Noles. You get a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Use code Noles, Noles. Sleeper has been with us all football season and really appreciate them partnering with us this entire year. Let's finish off here, gentlemen, with some basketball latest. VZ, we're on a 2-game winning streak for Florida State, but things are going to get certainly more interesting going into ACC play here soon.
Yeah, they beat JU on Monday night, Jacksonville, who was just not a good basketball team. Shout out Martin Somerville for having easily his best game as a Seminole, 23 points, 5 of 10 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. It's kind of what you need moving forward from him. I'm not saying you need 20 points every game, but just a consistent shooting threat. It's huge for this offense. But yeah, it's going to get difficult very, very quickly. Luckily, they got a week off for Christmas. They can figure some things out. And then their first 3 games out of Christmas break, you go to North Carolina next Tuesday, which I'll be at. Host Duke next Saturday, and then host NC State the Saturday after that. All 3 of those teams are currently top 30 in KenPom. All 3 are very talented teams. And Florida State just hasn't played well against great competition this year. So going to be a big challenge. They got to get this offense going. They've got to find some way to get some shots not just generated, because they're generating open looks. They're just not hitting them. They got to find a way to hit some open shots consistently. It can't just be 1 or 2 players here and there. We'll see. I'm not exactly optimistic for that Carolina game next week, but I'm not going to pass up on that opportunity to go see that. So we'll see. They're going to have their work cut out for them for really all of ACC play with just how this front court has played this year. And they're probably only going to be favored to beat, maybe 2 or 3 teams this year in ACC play between Boston College, Georgia Tech, and then find some other bad teams here and there. The wins may be hard to come by.
It's going to be tough. I mean, you kind of had that fall back down to earth, during that 5-game losing streak, and a lot of games where Florida State wasn't even really competitive, and the effort was lacking and really just getting blown off the court. I think the loss to Houston, it seemed like there were some positives to take out of that defeat, but they just weren't able to carry that over to the next game. It's good to beat up on these 2 bad opponents, but now moving into conference play, I want to see Florida State. God, I don't want to sound like Mike Norvell, but I want to see Florida State respond from adversity better.
Damn.
Come on, man.
We had a couple shows without it, man.
Not
Now
a couple. We almost made it through all the way to this one. We were almost there.
They need to respond. Whenever these other teams go on a run, it just feels like Florida State, they're just shell shocked and they're not able to lock back into the game and respond.
See, now you cursed them. They're going to lose 6 straight games now. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. The blame now goes on D-Lou there for sure if that ends up happening.
Sorry. My bad.
Why'd you have to do that, man, on Christmas Eve? You sure
I'm being serious, though.
You don't care about the kids, man. You don't care about the kids.
You cannot say respond in a Florida State setting, seriously. Like, you can find other words.
They're not able to bounce back whenever these other teams go on a big run. Just
oh God. Here, let's get a question here from Karen. There's a few to finish off on before we wrap up. This is from Karen on Facebook asking how many in the portal will stay. Predictions. So there's quite a handful already. I mean, we were talking about Randy Pittman earlier and Landon Thomas. I think those are some that you could say that could be heading in your direction backwards if things go right. Maybe Jabril Rawls. I think Florida State's doing everything they can to stay in the mix there and try to keep him as a Nole. And then I think there's some though that for sure, you're definitely moving on from. There's a lot more than that than retaining. I think guys like Edwin Joseph, long gone, won't see him in Tallahassee next year. But I think there's a few. Is there anybody else that I'm missing in here that might be one that could be coming back?
I can really only think of 2, and it'd be either Randy Pittman Jr. or I'd go with Omar Graham Jr., since we've already seen him hit the portal and then come back to Florida State once before. Maybe something similar happens this offseason, but I think 23 guys in the portal so far from Florida State. I would say if someone was to come back, 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, there's not many huge losses outside of Rawls and the tight ends. Like, I'm just not upset about any of those guys going. So yeah, if you can bring one of the tight ends back, great. If you can bring Rawls back, even better. Outside that, peace, good riddance, good luck at wherever you go.
Damn. That was tough one there. Keeping it straightforward. This is how it's going to be this offseason. It's going to be
it's going to be blunt this offseason.
As it should be. I mean, there's no sugar. If you come on here for sugarcoating and VZ will just tell it straight at the face now because his basketball team's not doing too well now. So it's just bad for the fall, bad in the winter. It's tough out here. We really got to get onto women's soccer and softball. Maybe we'll start introducing some coverage on there. D-Lou, start watching some film. That's all I got to say. Start watching some film.
If he can bet on it, he will.
Yeah, I was about to say, if he can. Hard Rock got softball college betting you can do on there, some prop bets.
I haven't bet in 8 months. I'm in recovery.
Wow.
Good job.
Yeah, congratulations.
Heck yeah.
I had to take a special class and everything.
Yeah. Stop. No, you did not. No, you did not. Eddie here on Facebook says, Croma not fast enough to change a field. Singleton can do it.
Highly disagree. Chroma's RB1 next year.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah. That's what it might be. That might be the 2 combo, and it should be the only 2 running backs that you see in the game every single game next year. Every single game should be Usman Kroma and Samuel Singleton. If Cam Martin comes, it's all going to come down to Cam Martin if he's your running backs coach, though. So we'll see. Looking for anything else. Yeah, a lot of Sperry talk. Maybe we'll have more of a Sperry episode next week and give our thoughts on him. But in this episode, though, we did go through 3 transfer quarterbacks that might be ones that Florida State could or should go after. And then we went through a couple of transfers that Florida State is having out of their offensive side of the ball. But that's going to do it for us on Hear the Spear. We hope y'all have a good Christmas. Happy holidays to you. We'll likely, maybe, depends on some news, but maybe we'll see y'all before the end of the week. But if not, y'all enjoy the rest of the holiday season. Thanks for watching. If you're here with us on YouTube, hit that like button down below. Helps go out to more FSU fans. We also do really appreciate y'all hitting that subscribe button. We've seen such a ton of growth there, and it's deeply appreciated. Definitely in the off season when things are a little bit slow and such. This show is going to keep rolling nonetheless and trying to give you as much coverage as possible. So you guys coming in here, interacting every time we go live or even afterward in the VODs, throwing comments down and such. We see all of them. So we appreciate it a ton, and it means a lot to us. But we'll certainly see y'all before the end of the year too as well. We'll have an episode there for you guys. But that's going to do it for us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Hear the Spear. Peace.